As Stage 4 continues, there are many teams currently on the playoff bubble, but there isn't enough room for everyone.
Guess who snuck into that top 12? It is the Atlanta Reign.
The Atlanta Reign have been dancing on the edge for weeks, and they've had an impressive start to Stage 4.
The Atlanta Reign claim the W!
Led by dynamic playmakers Dogman and Babybay, the Reign hope this meta will be their time to shine.
A crucial victory here to give the guys a shot at playoff glory.
The Houston Outlaws have been searching for their identity all season.
Houston Outlaws, they might get it done! Huge win! Jake can't even believe it!
A surge late in Stage 3 has them in the hunt for the play-in tournament, and they're leaning on their star players to get them there. Reign. Outlaws. Match of the week.
At the end of week 2, here in Stage 4, the race for the playoffs is starting to heat up, and these two teams are looking for a spot in there. This town may not be big enough for the two of them, though. Welcome back to the Overwatch League. Houston Outlaws take off the Atlanta Reign in our match of the week. I'm Mitch Leslie, joined by Matt Morello.
Yeah, no, we have a lot of playoff implications for this match. Both of these teams vying to get into, well, some of them already in, but trying to stay in that top 12. You can get into the top 12, 6 through 12. They have a 7 through 12. They have a play-in tournament. If one of them made a miraculous run, maybe you could even make a play for that 6th spot. But we'll take a look at our season standings coming in. So really, it's the Atlanta Reign who have a chance to kind of keep on moving forward. Right, they win this here, they're in a good spot. The map differential, pretty good. 7 through 12, they're the only other team outside of Seoul Dynasty with a positive in that department. So if you can get back to 500, this is a huge win for Atlanta. For the Houston Outlaws, is just trying to get over that red line, trying to get into the top 12.
Yeah, they still have plenty more games to play, but the Atlanta Reign, their schedule actually looks pretty good. It's the 3rd easiest based on the win rates of everyone's opponents. The only real tough one, I think, for them on paper looks like that Spitfire match coming up. London lost to Florida recently, so they're not exactly looking like they're at the peak of their game. Very doable. I mean, a 7-0 stage here.
It's not out of the realm.
Would put the Reign very much in the conversation for playoffs.
It's definitely doable when you have a player who's playing as well as Erster for the Atlanta Reign. I think it's possible to do, as he has been phenomenal throughout the stage this far. We've seen him play a ton of different heroes, the Genji, the Tracer, but it seems like they kind of move in the damage dealers around him and keep him in the whole game because he's that explosive.
Yeah, he's the kind of player that didn't get a lot of notice like many projectile DPS players during our 3-3 triple tank, triple support meta. A lot of those players were playing the Brigitte. They were doing a very important job, but not one that really put their name up in lights.
It was very hard, I think, for a lot of these players to look like impact players playing the Brigitte. I think Hacksaw probably the one that kind of it took the most like star power, from playing Brig.
He got the most blood out of a stone, so to speak, but
yeah,
still.
But I think now you start to see why a lot of these guys are in the lineups a lot. You start to see them on their comfort picks.
That's right. Well, let's bring them out onto the stage. Let's waste no time. Of course, Erster definitely doing work, but the rest of the team around him are making it happen. Welcome to the stage, the Atlanta Reign. First season for this Atlanta Reign, led by Babybay, of course, previously representing the San Francisco Shock. A lot of energy in this guy. He's not afraid to get up on stage and make his voice heard. In fact, this entire team is very vocal, very likable. Erster, one of the least loud, but when it comes to the battlefield, he's making the biggest impact.
But I think it's important you have those loud players on the team. Babybay and Dogman, definitely two of them. A lot of Houston Outlaws fans always show up to the Blizzard Arena. I expect those guys have some choice words if the Atlanta Reign start to win.
No doubt about it. There's definitely a rivalry budding there. Notice that FRD is in the lineup instead of Darko today. But let's bring out their opponents. A lot of noise in the front row for this one, I'm sure. Welcome, the Houston Outlaws. Sometimes they're up, sometimes they're down. The Outlaws are a tough one to pick. Talking to Jake a little bit about his team's sort of performance, he says, it became easy to get some of these games where we let go, where we stopped stressing so much about the individual result and just got in there and tried to have a little bit of fun. At least they're sort of returning to the reason why they're playing the game in the first place. The results are showing.
Yeah, they're starting to turn things around. They started really in stage 3. To start today's match, they're going to have Linkser and Dante in terms of their damage dealers. So seems like they've kind of been rotating Jake in some more. The last series, seems like Jake and Dante were the answer. Today, though, it's going to be Linkser and Dante.
Definitely feels like we're starting to settle on a generally agreed strategy or a way of playing. Dante in the lineup here. You could see him on Sombra, we could see him on the Mei, which is possibly more likely. A lot of teams are combining Reaper and Mei as their damage dealers in these compositions. Dante, also previously represented the San Francisco Shock, is a master of many heroes, Sombra being only one of them.
I mean, Sombra is very strong. He played a fantastic Tracer last year, which is a hero that he's now missing. We've seen him on Doomfist. So I think Dante, well, between all three of the damage dealers, where you have Dante and then whether you have a Linkser or you have Jake in the game, you can kind of cover everything with those players in the game. So we can take a look at the map set here, presented by Toyota. We'll see where we get this thing kicked off. It's going to be Lijiang Tower, then Hanamura, Blizzard World, and Route 66.
Now, the Houston Outlaws have tried to play a little bit of this very popular composition, Matt, the one that features Orisa, Roadhog, Mei, and Reaper. They only have a 36% win rate with that composition so far. So they either try and stick to that, workshop it and improve, or play something a little bit different. We saw some of those clips there that saw Dante on the Doomfist. There's definitely an opportunity to play him here, although he's at quite a lot of risk playing against Mei, for example, or Orisa, who can stop him in his tracks.
I think you do have the option for the Outlaws if you wanted to kind of deviate from the Mei Reaper composition, in that the meta is just so new. Like, teams have only really been playing this way for about 2-3 weeks now. So if you have some kind of pocket strats you can develop, work on, maybe you can bring them out. But at least at the start here, it looks like they're just going to be running the Mei Reaper with the Orisa. In the Diva, it'll be a mirror matchup on both sides.
Heading straight into Night Market now. No Roadhogs, you're right. It is the Divas on both sides. Shutting down the Reaper or protecting your own with Defense Matrix seems to be what these teams want to go for.
You get a lot of value out of the Diva here. Good mobility to like bait out the Mei walls, also to eat the ults, and then the Moira orbs as well. So you get good value out of having the Diva in this comp.
That Ice Wall looked really good from Dante early, splitting up the rain, but the Outlaws couldn't find an early elimination. They found one now, though. Baby Bay goes down, and the vast majority of the front-loaded damage for the Atlanta Reign has been removed from the fight. It means the Outlaws now, with the healing of Moira and Lucio, can withstand the rest and clean up the rain.
So you end up losing the Reaper at the beginning of that. Reaper is so good at chunking down some of these tanks and combo. He also, Reaper, good at just dealing with Mei in general, right?
He's that kind of hero. The closer he is to his target, he's doing vastly more damage.
Yeah, being able to, Wraith form a wave by getting frozen, teleport as well, as that has been buffed in previous patches. So Reaper definitely seeing a lot more play, seeing a lot more use, especially in these types of comps. You have the Mei on.
Another Ice Wall there thrown in by the Outlaws that will waylay the Reign as they try and approach from the outside of the map, but Baby Bay still needs to be careful. Coalescence being used by both Moiras here. Those beams are healing teammates and they're damaging foes. The Outlaws have actually given up a little bit of position on the point here. They want to try and catch the Reign before they make it, but they might have let them get too far. Here comes Linkser and with the Death Blossom sound barrier for the Houston Outlaws, but the positioning wasn't really good. Linkser's forced to Wraith form away defensively now, but the Blizzard comes out. Ursula's going to get caught on the top of the wall, the green wall in fact. But the rest of the Reign don't seem to be bothered at all. Baby Bay now is able to clean up. He stays alive late into the fight, and those big ultimates from Houston, neither really get much done.
It was just really, poor positioning in the fact that they're kind of caught out in the open, and then they feel the need to be able to get back to the point that they already control to use Sound Barrier in the Death Blossom to try and engage, and they get nothing with the Death Blossom. Linkser is nowhere close to any of the targets on the Reign. And then their Sound Barrier doesn't really help them at all. That allows Atlanta to hold on to theirs, get a good one towards the end. Open things up here, the Outlaws with a Coalescence, get blocked by a good Mei wall from Ursula.
They're trying to look for a quick kill with Raucus, and they found it. Dogman is felled. Baby Bay now trying to go for his own Death Blossom, but again, the shield protecting the Outlaws. Muma puts that one up. Now, they're not on the point right now, but they are able to transition across to there after, again, getting that early pick-off on Baby Bay. A lot of the damage is gone by the wayside for the Atlanta Reign, and the Outlaws just need to maneuver to the point of begin to capture. Now, FRD gets caught out on his own. Massa trying to follow him up and help him with some healing and speed. Didn't work. The Reign still control the point for now, and they're looking like they're trying to commit to a fight.
And they're going to be able to extend this. They have Sound Barrier to use here as well. So they're going to use the Sound Barrier to try and push in with the Reaper.
Dante trying to stay safe. He's moved up! No way! Massa sent him packing, and now a lot of the space control for the Outlaws is missing. Ice block for Ursta. The Atlanta Reign are sitting in the doorway, forcing the Outlaws off. Houston never managed to capture the point here, Matt. So that percentage is still ticking up for the Reign, and Baby Bay gets two.
And what gives the Atlanta Reign an opportunity to come back and fight this. So the Outlaws did a good job. They actually pushed all the way around. They forced the positioning from the Atlanta Reign back to like their mega health pack. And then they went back to go take the point, the Outlaws. but Spree gets really low and he gets frozen, and then they try and chase that kill with the supercharger, and then that allows some players that come back from the respawn for the Atlanta Reign. Then they can come in, get a touch on MRD, they build up sound barrier, and they're able to hold on to the point.
Dante moves forward. I mean, this is aggressive. You can see the Outlaws are rushing back to the point. It's 92% and counting, but Babybay goes down. Linksa gets the better of him here. It's one of the other Reaper falling early in these fights, but this one favors the Outlaws. Now he's in the back line. Linksa gets rid of Dogman. Looking for Massa, who's slippery as always, but it's a two-player advantage to even begin the fight. And the Outlaws just steamroll from there. They'll stay in control for now.
Yeah, the Outlaws are going to need basically 2 more team fight wins to take this point. They have the Supercharger, which is great ultimate to use in these situations. Really great at securing team fights.
I mean, look at this, though.
But for the Atlanta Reign, I was saying they end up losing that fight, but they hold on to their Blizzard, they hold on to Death Blossom, they don't use any of those big impactful ultimates. You may be able to use your own Supercharger here in open space, like kind of pepper them down, force them to use a Coalescence or a Sound Barrier a little bit earlier.
Coalescence sometimes looks like teams looking to put kills to that ability, right? Dogman forces Linksa away. He's out of the picture for the time being, but FRD has other things to attend to. Babybay charging forward now. Linksa needs to return to the fight, but he's out of position. He had to teleport across to the point. He got there in time, though, and you see he's waiting by the door. Sound barrier now. Babybay can move forward and not really worry too much. The Blizzard's hitting them up as well. The Atlanta Reign get the ultimates at the right time, and the Outlaws kind of spent them for no gain whatsoever, Matt.
And the Outlaws may be able to get a touch here. You have Boink in position, Raucus as well, as both those players hiding on the outside of the point. But it just seems like just a matter of time before the Atlanta Reign take this. That'll be a self-destruct on the point. Mooma comes in, just tries to get across in the touch on the Wrecking Ball.
Adaptive shield, keeping Mooma alive, but he's frozen solid at the doorway. Spree now moving to the point on the Diva, and the Doomfist has approach. Linksa tries to go for an early pickup, but Ursa takes him down immediately. 2 for him. And yeah, with Raucus missing a self-destruct here from Spree, good on him from getting that Diva ultimate in time. He gets rid of Babybay, but it's just one pick. They need so much more than that. Neck and neck in the first round here, with both teams leaning into Orisa, May, Reaper.
And Atlanta got the, you know, when I was talking about them coming out and trying to force some of those ultimates with the Supercharger. So Atlanta uses Supercharger and they use their Coalescence and they start to push. And how do the Outlaws react in probably one of the worst ways they could, is they end up using Coalescence and Sound Barrier at the same time. There's a good old combo with Babybay, but
that's that big baby energy.
They use Coalescence and Sound Barrier at the same time. And then all the Atlanta Reign do is they push them back a little bit. They still have Blizzard, and they still have their Sound Barrier. They just use Sound Barrier and Blizzard at the same time. They push in a Death Blossom from Babybay, and it's an easy point retake for the Atlanta Reign.
We're seeing a switch up here from the Houston Outlaws. Yes, come out of the gates with Wrecking Ball, Doomfist, and Pharah. Matt, break this down.
I know that you're going to have the consistent damage at range here from the Pharah, the Mercy pocket, and then you're going to have a lot of these players playing very close quarters, like almost like a dive. You want to get into the backline. Doomfist pretty effective here, going for those one-shots, and then Mooma can be really, you know, agile around the point. But this is exactly what they probably would have wanted to do, is they section off Spree. He's a very vulnerable target. They get Raucus as well. And once those 2 players drop, you lose the Moira and you lose the Diva. The Diva in this situation with the defense matrix able to eat up, you know, a lot of the projectiles, a lot of the halts, locking these mobile characters in place. And then you lose Raucus on Moira, who's providing all that healing. They're forced to swap off.
Now, Diva appears to be strong. Feels like she can negate a lot of damage. She cannot cancel out continuous beams or streams of damage. Yeah. So May's Endothermic Blaster is something she can't stop. She can't stop Zarya's Particle either, Particle Cannon. So only some things she gets frozen up just as easily as anybody else. Speaking of which, Ursta uses Ice Block there inside that barrier. Mooma sets a very forward shield of his own, but it gets blown up instantly. Dante's off the map. Massa with his second environmental kill of the map so far. Doesn't bode well for Houston.
Yeah, and Houston wants to save any type of ultimates they have because they may got those switches up with the composition, so they're not able to build up a ton of them there, as they don't want to use a Coalescence because they know the Atlanta Reign, once they get that first pick off on the Dante, they have a huge advantage. No May wall in place, no opportunity to build towards a Blizzard. So you're able to hold on to these 3 ultimates coming online, and then 2 you have. So this is really good for the Atlanta Reign. They've already built up 55%. This Death Blossom's good, and they get a fight early. You may never see some of these ultimates come online for the Outlaws.
Maybe there's no chance for Houston to get them done. Boink is down already. Great start. Houston struggling with the Reaper so far. And that's a Coalescence that Babybay does not care about. He teleports forward to try and chase Raucus down, but he's already faded the heck out of there.
And I mean, I guess fortunately for Houston, you do lose that fight early. They end up using Supercharger Blizzard and Death Blossom. So there's 3 of those ultimates. they're still going to have to figure out a way to get some of these support ultimates out. Without a Blizzard, without the Supercharger, there's not really a great way. So Houston in a lot of trouble here.
Well, they have one more shot. Matt, this is the last chance for Houston to make a play for the point. They step forward again, the barrier comes up and the wall. That's to prolong Muna's barrier and give his team a chance to move up without taking too much poke damage. Self-destruct thrown in here, the bomb doesn't find anything thus far. There's a sound barrier though for the Atlanta Reign, and the Blizzard drop down on the point by Houston now. This gives them some room to work with, some space that the Reign cannot occupy for the time being. FRD back behind the shield, taking some damage and forced to use Defense Matrix. You see Baby positioned off to the left. He wants to get in here, and with the Blizzard set up by Erster, that's a good start. Spree's frozen solid, and Baby descends upon Boink. Lynx are now out of the picture. Reaper struggling here for the Houston Outlaws, and the Reign have 6 players still to work with. Supercharger thrown down, everyone's getting damage boosted right now. Baby finds Raucus yet again. Should have paid attention to defense against the Dark Arts and learnt that Patronus charm, because your boy Baby is out there reaping.
Man, that one is a clean win for the Atlanta Reign. They dominate there, and the Houston Outlaws, they come out with a composition with the Wrecking Ball, the Doomfist, and the bar. It doesn't work. They're not able to build up any real game-changing ultimates at a time where they could flip the point earlier. And it really loses them that second point. We'll see how Houston bounces back in map 2 after this.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
Cease your resistance.
Two hometown favorites going toe-to-toe one more time.
The Vancouver Titans, Stage 1 champions. The Shark have done it, Stage 2 champions. Make some noise for the current holders of the California Cup. That's it, August 24th, 25th, our LA rivalry weekend, our final homestand of the season. Get your tickets now, lavaliant.com/tickets. We have some huge headliner matches to be played there.
Yeah, some of the best matches of the year are going to happen at that event, so definitely want to grab your tickets. As we got Dogman using the
get
hand
this guy some.
walkers.
No, he's getting into fitness. I see an Instagram.
Yeah.
Story. Let's get him some shake weights. I don't know what that's supposed to be. But
I don't know. He's just vibing with himself right now.
Vibing with himself.
Yeah, it seems like the Atlanta Reign. No, they take map 1 pretty convincingly as well. So we were looking at their schedule. This is a team that you don't want to say they can run the table, but you look at the schedule, it looks pretty good, right? I mean, they got a match against the London Spitfire this stage, which could be pretty competitive. The Boston Uprising, the Dallas Fuel, 2 teams struggling at the end of the stage. So we'll take a look at the sub here for the Atlanta Reign. It'll be Enlayer come in.
Yeah, this implies to me, we're going to see potentially some hit scan from him. We'll let you know when we see this next map come up, because there's a couple options, but realistically, might still be the Reaper action. Baby looked very good, but we are seeing him really only play the first map of these series.
Yeah, sometimes on Anubis, I saw Baby on Instagram. He said he's the Temple of Anubis one trick now. It isn't true, because we just saw him play on the Shang Tower at the end of getting a win.
And now he's
there,
getting
so.
subbed out for controls. For Salt, should I say.
Yeah, so we'll see how Enlair and his hero pool affects map number 2.
Yeah, one of a couple of our players representing the CIS region, Russia. So Enlair, where he hails from, he's represented his home country in the World Cup multiple times.
Oh man,
Who paid Josh to say that?
Who's tweeting that?
There you go. Yeah, thanks, fam. I didn't pick it, but thanks.
Sideshow is known for his fashion advice.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes,
Definitely the thing that when people think of Sideshow.
Listen, I would say it's generally fashion. I'd say he doesn't go wrong too often. You know, like someone like Bren maybe is a little bit more expressive. Sometimes there can be he can hit some faux pas, but Josh is, he stays in his home. He knows where his boundaries are, man. That's
Bren attempted to dress himself today, and it was horrible. It's Hanamura. It's coming up next. you got it all sorted out there, wardrobe. But Hanamura coming up next. So Dante on the Mei. You think this is a very strong Mei map on the defensive side of things. On offense, you can play the Mei if you want. You can play the Reaper. I think there's a lot of teams who are experimenting with like Hanzo compositions here, where Hanzo can get a lot of good value, being able to climb the wall, getting into the top window.
Why do we want Mei on defense? I mean, this map's been such a classic Mei map, even in other metas.
Well, just Mei being able to split people off at this choke. This choke, if you don't run a mobile comp, is really unforgiving.
It's essentially one entrance, right?
But the Outlaws come out with a Aura Widow comp on defense here to kick things off. So very interesting look for Houston here with Raucus on the on and then Boink on the Mercy.
But Atlanta have a composition that can ostensibly shut down Widowmaker and Fire. If they come out the gates for this one. Okay, Widow versus Widow, maybe just to begin here, Ersta might just be looking for someone who's positioned in that window. He's found them. He wants to stay on this Widowmaker though for just a little while.
They're going to make some changes if they see this. They're going to probably get a full-on dive.
Oh, baby.
So they're going to try and put pressure onto the high ground here. As you don't really see a ton of Winston play. You see Wrecking Ball being used a lot more. Wrecking Ball good on this map. On this component, there's a lot of different areas you see him roll around.
Wrecking Ball beats him in mobility and durability right now.
Yeah.
Pretty hard to argue with Wrecking Ball over Winston. It plays a while to get the hang of it. Atlanta, one of the few teams outside of Vancouver that are getting consistent value out of Genji play. See if that works for them here. Masa gets picked off early, which is kind of bad for the Reign. They are half in, half out right now, lacking a speed booster to allow them to make a decisive positional play.
Yeah, now Dogman being stuck at the choke is a big reason why he's not able to kind of get around this corner, being able to heal players up, because Dante's doing a nice job of isolating
Oh,
him.
nasty.
You also have Booba there as well, putting down shots in the hole, so that forces FRD to come back and try and protect the Ana.
It's kind of hard for Dogman to pressure Dante down here. He's not being given an opportunity to connect with him. Technically, Dogman is a sniper, but he's not really going to do enough damage, and Dante hits with one direct rocket, and he has to use a biting grenade on himself. Boink is down to Enlair here, and the Reign do spawn a little bit closer, but lose this fight pretty heavily with a sleep on Ersta. That's important to buy time for Boink to return.
You might be able to make a little bit of a push here, though, if you're the Atlanta Reign, but Boink should be able to just fly over. Oh, actually, you have a spawn coming. So Enlair actually gets all the way to the back here. This is such a smart play. This is a big advantage if they're not going to be able to get the Mercy back.
No one can help Boink where he is right now.
Linkster gives them walls, though, so they're able to see exactly where he's coming from. So the walls in this scenario are pretty good. That'll be the translocator gone. And then for Cypher, Linkster may have saved the Outlaws there.
That's so clever. Sombra spends much of her time invisible, but Infrasight will reveal her entirely. So all of your stealth options are taken away there. But Enlair got his EMP, that's all though. And the gambit for the Reign doesn't quite pay off. With Enlair away, trying to spawn camp Boink, the rest of the 5 players for Atlanta weren't actually able to make a play for a point, even though they technically had a 5v4 with Dante helping Boink out.
So now you have 5 ultimates here for the Houston Outlaws. The issue is the 3 ultimates that the Atlanta Reign have pretty strong in combination with each other. EMP plus Nano Blade, you get 2-3 kills off the back of that, you think you're able to take the point with ease.
Yeah, Houston's ultimates here don't necessarily play together with each other. Individually, they're very helpful and have some utility, but Atlanta have a combo. They have a wombo combo here. Atlanta, oh, okay. Looks like he was want to translocate forward there. He goes for the EMP anyway. Does Ersta pull the blade? He does. He gets the nano blade now and he's looking to find some extra kills. Genji's scary enough without the damage boost, and that's 3. Easy as you like for 4 on Ersta. And you said it, Matt, they had the ultimates that play together, and Ersta gets 5 kills to open up the point. We expect no less by this point.
Yeah, and they try and use a nano boost, the Outlaws, on a Dante, trying to get the rocket barrage off. Maybe, but it just deters Ursa for a little bit. As the Atlanta Reign, they will play May and McCree here. So McCree can access the high ground with the shield and start to put down a lot of damage at range. Linkster actually went over to Reaper, but switches to the Widowmaker. So just trying to outrange Ursa in this scenario.
Yeah, you feel like Ursta's mindset changes now from trying to get up in the face of his opponents to trying to be left alone and get some space to get really good, consistent damage from this high ground. McCree doesn't do well when he's pressured up close and personal, and Linkster does it the long-range way. Widowmaker definitely has the edge over McCree.
It can be really hard to play McCree into Widowmaker, especially on this point. And they got exactly what they wanted. They got Ursa up to the high ground.
Oh,
Had a
Linkster!
shield there. They do lose Linkster Dogman, but Dogman.
That's a resurrect.
Yeah. You will be able to get the high ground with McCree, but just the angles that the Widow can attack from very difficult. So now when they see the Reaper on the other side, Linkster goes back, will change. Now they'll match each other in the Reaper game.
Both of these Reapers will be trying to keep tabs on one another's position. Fighting 1v1, Reaper to Reaper, is a bit strange because both of them get health back by doing damage, so it can be a bit of a stalemate. They need to keep tabs on each other, but ideally they're trying to get rid of each other's tank line.
Yeah, and on the offense, in the main support role, you have Masa playing the Lucio, and then Boink on defense is going to be playing the Baptiste. And here you can play the Baptiste because you're on the defense end, you don't really need that speed boost. The immortality feels massive here, especially up on the high ground. Allows you to stay there a little bit longer.
Linkster drops down there. Masa and FRD try and pursue, but they can regain the high ground. They both have that mobility. Coalescence here from the high ground. Dogman wants to start off, get another fight. Houston are pretty safe with their position. They're going to give some ground, and they might allow the Reign to begin capturing, but they don't take any damage really from the Coalescence. And now they're ready to fight. Blizzard throwing down on the point there. That shield isn't going to protect Poke from the icy winds, and Enlair now is dragged back to his demise.
Blizzard nano boost combination used there. The Outlaws will be able to hold on here. They don't even give up a tick, so a minute 40 on the clock for the Atlanta Reign to get something happening here. They will have a supercharger and a Blizzard of their own. I think the Outlaws, though, are going to be very patient. You're not going to see them all jump on the point. You just need one player to contest. So
how do you force the Outlaws to stand on the point so you can hit them with the Blizzard if you're Atlanta?
Well, look, if you're the Outlaws, I think what you can do here is you just have Spree contest point. You could have Muma as well with the Fortify. Put both the tanks there. They decide to Blizzard. You have Self-Destruct to use. You have also...
Do you want to leave the players on the high ground?
Well, I mean, look, you're going to jump down here from the high ground. I think you just play behind the point. Kind of tighten this area behind the point. There's a lot of good cover there. Boink also has the Amp Matrix, probably going to be used for healing in this scenario rather than damage.
Enlair, well, you can see, yeah, Enlair pushing aggressively up here onto the platform, trying to get some Outlaws players caught behind lines.
See, like I was talking about, you just need to have one of the two tanks just contest the point. Now Muma comes down, you can fortify.
Yeah. Muma is immune to crowd control for a short time under the use of Fortify, but it doesn't keep him alive. Eventually, he is stopped in his tracks, and Ursta drops down. Death Blossom claims one kill, but the rest of the Reign have already paved the way now. It's just cleanup duty, and Ursta knows how to swing a broom.
And I think the thing here that separates the two teams with all these ultimates being used is having that sound barrier, that big sustained ultimate for the Atlanta Reign. You didn't have anything like that for the Outlaws. That'll be the first tick here for Atlanta.
It's been slow going through Atlanta, but they're finally starting to make some headway now onto the point. The Wrecking Ball for Spree doesn't work out about as well as it did for Muma on control earlier on. And with 10 seconds remaining in the round, they're looking like they got it wrapped up. Hanamura completed.
With a few seconds in the bank, too.
And that may matter. You know, there's a big difference between finishing the round with some time left and doing it in overtime. We'll cover that if it becomes relevant. But for now, it's time for the Outlaws to turn around and see if they can beat that time on the attack.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, now connecting 99% of Overwatch League fans. Catch your league on America's network, T-Mobile. And by State Farm. Whatever life brings your way, State Farm is here to help life go right.
Power down. Get in there. Cease your resistance. Cease your resistance. 不行走。
So as you've seen so far, Hanamura is definitely a map that's split into two distinct sections. We saw Erster mix it up, go from the Genji to take point A, and then switch up, attempt to McCree, and then back to the old Reaper to get the job done.
And we'll see a Pharah Widow on defense here from the range as well. So both teams here opting to not go with the Mei on defense. Maybe comboing the Mei with the Reaper on defense isn't ideal, because then the other team could just play like Pharah and just kind of poke consistently.
Pharah Widow definitely is kind of scary for Reaper and Mei, who are both close quarters fighters and can't really contend at long distances against, snipers or Pharah who just fires rockets.
You also have a scenario where the offensive Mei can put that wall in the choke and then just kind of walk the whole team in, and then you really get no value out of your wall in a certain scenario. So now they see the Pharah on defense. The Outlaws going to go back, make a switch. Dante probably plays Sombra in this type of scenario. Yep, you're going to be
Tracer something. Now, this is a composition that probably more lines up with the strength of the Outlaws than it is like a specific answer. We saw the range by something a little bit different on their attacking side.
I think it's just really having the Sombra with whatever other dive aggressive damage dealer you would like, whether it's Tracer, Genji, Doomfist, like whoever you kind of have a player that prefers that role.
Look, you're very slippery. You're quite self-sufficient as Tracer. Recall gives you the health that you had 3 seconds ago, so it is a heal essentially. Also, obviously backs you up a little bit, but that's how time works now.
And I think with how much the Divas needed in this scenario to help the Ana at the choke, you almost can't run Winston like we were talking about before. Like, Wrecking Ball just has this great self-survivability as opposed to Winston as Boomer gets caught out there. They do get a pick on Amasa though, so you have 2 players on the point here for the Outlaws. Maybe you can make an attempt to gain some percentage.
That's so clever. Spree could have chased Erster. They probably would have killed him, but he took the opportunity to get rid of Enlair while Erster was running away. That essentially allows him to remove one more player from the equation than he otherwise would have. Really clever. Spree's put to sleep briefly here, but the Rain are in deep trouble in this fight. It's just Poco left, and he's just going to get taken down. His shield is omnidirectional. The Elixir just behind him.
They end up using a nano boost on a Poco to just give him extra survivability on the point. You have Ursa there as well. That'll be the Houston Outlaws taking the point. Now we get to see if there's going to be any changes. Any changes from Atlanta, any changes from the Outlaws.
I mean, you go back to Reaper Mei here.
The Rain actually stay with the... So they swap out the Widow for the Mei. They stay on the Pharah and the Mercy because they do have the ultimates on these heroes. And Layer gets an early pickoff here on the point, so that prevents the Outlaws from pushing on in. You don't have that speed boost to get through the high ground.
So these are your damage dealers for the Atlanta Rain right now, covering distinct different parts of the map. Concussive Blast allows Erster to make playing the right-hand side for the attackers very risky. You knock them off the edge, and Enlair's great here in the top left, just controlling this small corridor with his swarms and his endothermic blast, trying to catch Spree out there.
They lose another player again here, so this is 2 straight pushes. You've not been able to get anything going if you're the Outlaws. You're really just building up ultimates like passively over time for Houston, as Linkster will play 3 now to try and deal with this Pharah that's still in play. But this has allowed Enlayer, these 2 fights. It doesn't seem like a ton, but he's gone from just switching to Mei to halfway to his ultimate, just by really 2 eliminations that go down.
A lot of lead-up time on those ice. Not easy to get, but get him. They really start to hurt. Nice pile driver there from Uma. He hit multiple players there and kind of staggered out the Atlanta Rain as they tried to position on that balcony. Look, they've moved to the point already. Now the Rain have no choice but to stand and deliver. And speaking of, Lynx has got the hot hand. Looking for Master now. The Electric Cowboy. An interesting gambit use here of the nano boost. Well, it's a struggle. Defense Matrix still dominates McCree close up, eating all those projectiles and turning him to pretty much just a flash machine.
Yes, Masa And most likely Ursa will switch after they use these ultimates, so that's really what they were waiting for. Using the Valkyrie, using the Reaper, using the Pharah ultimate. Now they're going to go over to Reaper and Lucio. So you won't have an Ana or a Batiste in play on defense, like the Outlaws have. The Outlaws do have this EMP, so they're sticking on the Sombra, want to try and get value out of this EMP. Moss actually goes Batiste here, so just like the Outlaws, they have a ton of healing and survivability up on the high ground now.
EMP gets thrown out, but Enler's already been taken down. Ursa and Pokepo hit with that one. Dangerous times for Ursa. He can't escape. He can't use Wraith Form to get out. Back to Azkaban with you. And now to the point. Dante gets rid of Pokepo. 3 already down for the Atlanta Reign. And FRD has seen better days. He doesn't like this. Steve was very good when she's not being focused down, but that's exactly what just happened. The Outlaws here with considerably more time than the Atlanta Reign. 2.5 minutes start their capture. Masa up on that high ground, trying to stay safe. He's going to try and keep Pokepo alive as long as he possibly can. The Immortality Field is thrown down, but it's removed pretty much straight away. Lynx is looking for Ursa. He'll have what he wanted. And now just a couple players left filtering onto the point here. The Reign getting a couple numbers for some stall, but now Lynx will remove the great way to stop this kind of effort. FRD finds the pick off though. Getting rid of Pokepo quickly here is imperative, and Dogman is being unanswered in the back line. If he gets a kill on the Raucus or someone similar, that could be devastating. But the Outlaws have the numbers and the sound barrier. Extra durability goes a long way, and Enlair walks headlong into an EMP. He couldn't blink away, essentially neutralizes Tracer. Immortality Field here to keep FRD alive, and he'll get desuited after this. This is decent stall, but the Reign need to find some kills.
It is very good stall for Atlanta, as you're going to have Masa pick up point, but still more kills going in favor of the Houston Outlaws. Just one more player trying to get a touch. It was Enlair had to recall, so the Outlaws will complete both points here on Hanamura with more time in the bank.
And that could make a huge difference. Both teams had some time at least, and so 1 minute will be put on the clock for the Reign. The Outlaws will get a boost that is proportional. And then we will, as they say, go again. We'll see you in just a moment for more Hanamura. One minute on the clock for the Atlanta Reign. That is what their small time got boosted up to. So the Outlaws actually, yeah, they get almost a minute added on to what they had at the end. Still, we have seen teams in positions like the Atlanta Reign able to dominate and snowball through this map. If you get an easy point A take, Matt, you can build up key ultimates that allow you to snatch up point B just as easy.
And I think that's kind of the game that Atlanta has to play here is you bring in Sombra. Ursa's going to play the Sombra, and if you can build up that EMP, you get a hack like early on, like if you're getting hacked onto, let's say Buma in this scenario, you can deploy a shield, you take him out, you can start to make a play. Pogo gets very low going in. And,
not the start they're looking for, Matt.
I think he messed his rollout up, and it really kind of in a tough spot. See 2 flankers here for the Atlanta Reign. They're trying to put some pressure on the Raucus. Good help there from Spree. It's been good positioning on the Diva.
Armor targets are very good against Tracer and Sombra because Tracer and Sombra do damage in small amounts. So armor is actually more protective against little pellets of damage coming constantly than big chunks and big hits.
Vipergito is so damaging to
it's like it's a percentage reduction per projectile, I believe, or a certain amount, should I say. So Tracer doesn't really like going against armor targets. She needs to hit lots of headshots. Oh no! He was so crucial! I needed Ursa badly, and now the Reign have to try and pick up the pieces and make something happen, but Lynx are already found 2 before Enlair got to him. Dante says, me? Nano boost? Okay, I'll step up to the plate. And those rockets are going to be hitting that much harder. He's ready for a barrage too once that defense matrix was down for FRD. Nothing to shut down this Pharah ultimate. And over time, the Atlanta Reign unable to get even 1 tick. That does not look good for them when they have to defend. Ursa translocates away. He's too far to get back to the point unless he throws the translocator. He's not going to have it available.
And they try and use a nano boost in desperation there at the end on the end layer to kind of get back to the point, but not even a tick there for the Atlanta Reign of progress on point A. As the Outlaws in a very good position here to take Hanamura after not really putting up a great fight on our map number 1. They have looked good here on map number 2. Let's take a look from Lynxer's POV here on the Widowmaker towards the end.
Again, it's not easy. You're playing against a lot of tanks that have really... okay. Yeah, well, charged body shot and a melee is enough to kill most targets there, especially Traces. Lynx knows that better than anyone, almost. A player who was a dominant force in Europe as a Widowmaker and Tracer player many moons ago, many years ago, in fact.
I think with the more time, obviously that's a huge advantage for the Outlaws in terms of being able to build towards an EMP. We saw what happened when they used the EMP on the offensive end for their point B attack to complete the map. The EMP really opened things up, so if the Outlaws are able to get that ultimate, we'll see how Atlanta reacts. They're going to have to spread, and the thing that EMP does is when the other team spreads, you necessarily don't need to use the EMP, it's just the threat of having the EMP, which is devastating. Because they start to spread expecting the EMP, you don't use it, you pick up the kill anyway. Then people start to panic, get out of position, trying to save people, then you use EMP, and it's a big win.
Atlanta Reign want to force a draw here if they can. And that would be very good for them. It would mean they'd only have to win one more map in the series. Because in normal time, there's only 4 maps out of 5 if we need the tiebreaker. And yeah, if Houston draw this, they have to win the next 2 maps in a row. So not ideal for them. But you see Masa and Erster working together. Masa, while staying tethered to Erster, is keeping an eye on things down on the ground in case he needs to rush to someone's aid. 1 tick is all the Outlaws need on this point. And with Sombra Tracer already getting behind enemy lines, the Reign have to have their wits about them.
Yeah, because they create pressure on the point, Erster can't just pressure down the choke gun. I was going to say, move Raucus out of position, but Endlayer hit the headshot on the Raucus. That's a big pickoff. As if you allow Raucus to just kind of sit in that choke uncontested, he's going to be able to put down a ton of healing for the players at the point.
It's a tough life for Widowmaker here. These targets are so slippery, so hard to hit. The rest of the Reign are low, at least able to step up and help out. Endlayer would much rather, should I say, the Outlaws to stay near the choke and not be able to get up in his face, but that is what Sombra, Wrecking Ball, Diva, Tracer all are good at doing.
Now you'll have walls here for Endlayer. This will reveal where Dante is, so this just buys more time. They'll be able to get back on full strength here, the Atlanta Reign on defense. So
now side is out now.
Yeah, but they have to have an idea that the EMP is coming. Like, Dante put down a ton of damage in that previous fight. It's how do you get around this? Right now, Atlanta's all set up on the high ground with Endlayer down on the point.
The Outlaws can't afford to let this get away from them. They have a golden opportunity to equalize the series here. This EMP
has... use it now. Your Raucus is down. You have to save it.
Dante, you saw him throw the translocator. He cancelled it in midair.
Yeah, they have to save it in this scenario. You lose Raucus, the choke.
Matt,
you can't afford to EMP.
You're giving the Atlanta Reign so much time to get these ultimates. Dogman has an ultimate. Erster is going to have his barrage, and a nano boost on Erster is going to make him really hard.
And you would consider Mercy and Lucio both main supports, right? So as long as like one of them lives, you still feel pretty decent about your healing output. Although it would be much tougher.
Outlaws fans, your team needs your energy now. They must win this fight. Good start getting rid of Poke, but the defense matrix will protect him for how long, though? That's the question. EMP comes out. Poke takes a hit with it. FRD and Poke was probably hit with it before he went down. Raucus and Dante get 2, but here's Erster. Here's the issue. He's going to be causing problems. FRD off the edge of the map. Popo brought back into the fight, though. The Outlaws are not out of the woods yet. Shield is still up, but Erster's dealt with. How does Moomer get a fire with a pile driver? I'll never know, but he gets hit another one. Masa is down. Endlayer now on the point, trying to coordinate a little bit with Popo, but this is not much to work with for the Atlanta Reign. Down comes Moomer once more, brings the hammer and the W. The Outlaws will take Hanamura.
That is so close. Atlanta almost able to swing that. The EMP from Dante connects with 2 players there, gets both tanks, but Atlanta almost able to hold on there at the end. It just falls apart once Erster gets taken out by Muma.
Yeah, must-win fight like we pointed out. Now the Outlaws at least going to half-time, 2-2. Atlanta had to be frustrated. Much more to talk about on the other side.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, now connecting 99% of Overwatch League fans. Catch your league on America's network, T-Mobile.
Houston is looking to cool down Atlanta's hot streak and keep their playoff hopes alive. And after dropping map 1, they clutched it out in Hanamura to even things up at 1 apiece coming into the break. How's it going, everybody? Malik Forte here. We got Zoe and Brent here. It's halftime. Guys, coming into this matchup, a lot of people were saying Atlanta was pretty much going to be very dominant. And in map 1, they were very dominant. Ilios was pretty much a highlight showcase for this team.
It kind of was. I mean, Atlanta Reign across the board kind of popped off there. And we did see Houston Outlaws bring it back, of course, on the second map. However, on the first one, it was a little bit more on the one-sided affair kind of scenario. But it was still a little bit back and forth. It was one big brawl, to be honest with you. And I think this is just kind of what we can expect from this meta. With those Reaper Maycoms, fights just drag on forever. It just honestly feels like they'll never end unless someone makes them end, like Baby Bay on his Reaper with some really, really, really good Death Blossoms.
I taught him that.
Yeah, look.
Sure.
I mean, looking at these compositions as well, a lot of this is being set up by Erst, as you can see, spinning around in circles with his
Beautiful.
endothermic blast. Thanks, Mitch. Almost forgot the ability name for that one, but yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful little synergy that they've got going on with both Erst and Baby Bay. I think they work well with this Reaper May composition that they're using to its fullest. Works really well on these control maps, tight corridors, very close quarters, which is where obviously these heroes really like to excel.
It's been very interesting seeing how Atlanta's been rotating Baby Bay and in layer for specific maps.
Yeah.
What do you think is kind of the thinking behind that?
I think it is map dependent. I mean, Baby Bay is I believe, I mean, he plays Temple of Anubis for you know, the Atlanta Reign. We went to Hanamura instead as the alternative. It comes down to, I think, a lot of map dependencies, and also, I mean, the heroes that Inlayer and Baby Bay
They overlap.
Yeah, they do
So
overlap
it
a
must
lot.
be something map specific which they prepare.
Right, interesting. And while we're on the subject of substitutions, or I guess lineups, it was very interesting to me that Linkster got to start today over Jake, and I think that came into play especially in map 2 when we went to Hanamura, which is typically a map that Jake's pretty good at.
Yeah, and I mean, at the very beginning of it, we were a little bit worried about that because Lynx's Widowmaker has been kind of a non-factor, at least throughout the first round. In OT, he and Dante both kind of popped off, but yeah, at the beginning, Lynxer didn't really get much picks on that Widowmaker, and it was almost a little bit worrisome.
Yeah. And the question remains, you know, why would they sub in Linkster now over Jake when they've been playing Jake predominantly throughout the entirety of the season almost? I think a lot of this comes down to maybe the leadership aspect is a little bit overrated. Linkster is definitely more mechanical skilled when it comes compared to Jake on a lot of different heroes. He can also play a variety of more heroes, and he can play the Widowmaker as well on top of that. And I think the synergy that they've got between Linkster and Dante is working very nicely for them. Dante, with his Sombra as a pick, means that Erster can't flex onto the Genji anymore. It allows Linkster as well to get a lot more space as an individual. So I do like the changes they've made here. I mean, clearly they've worked. They're now 1-1.5. Very close game, though, very tight between them. And that's where they're going to be running into issues a little bit later when we see the map pool as well.
All right, well, let's take a look at that map pool right now. Also, very interesting that you mentioned Erster getting shut down by Linkster, because I know Erster, you know, kind of calm him down a little bit.
Right.
You essentially slow down the Atlanta Reign. So I think that's
Yes,
pretty important.
and that's always been a key to victory, is slowing down Erster. But
That can also be detrimental. That's the thing, right?
Sure.
If you commit too many resources onto one player, then you might get outplayed by that. So they might just end up putting Erster out for bait and then clean up the rest of the lineup. But yeah, map pool, we saw it at the pre-show. Blizzard World, Not really a map where the Outlaws have found much success on. Neither has been Route 66 or map 5s in general. So this was Houston Outlaws' map to win. It's really good for them and their mental state that they managed to take away Hanamura.
That's what I mean. Houston right now are Norton 3 when it comes to Blizzard World as a map. So Atlanta Reign have a huge advantage moving into that one. And Route 66 was notoriously, historically over the course of the Houston Outlaws franchise, a terrible map for them. They could never complete it. They've changed their tone a little bit in more recent years, but overall, getting that Hanamura map was an absolute key right there for the Houston Outlaws. And I think right now, moving forward, it is still anyone's game, and it comes down to how they execute a lot of their compositions, with Dante still in the lineup. Really want to see them still playing Dante as well, and Linkster as well, because it worked very well for them.
Right, very interesting, guys. I wonder if we'll see Jake, but it seems like Linkster's been working out for him. It did in Hanamura, but guys, it's all tied up. 1-1 at the half. We'll see who can pull ahead when we come back right after the break.
They don't just play for a team. They play for every fan, every rival, every moment, every match. And when everyone watching expects the best, they perform with the best.
Apagando las luces.
The Reign hope this meta will be their time to shine. The Houston Outlaws have been searching for their identity all season. Reign, Outlaws, match of the week.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, so far our match of the week has definitely delivered. We're 1-1 at the halftime. I think that second map was fascinating. The Houston Outlaws, they put it pretty close, but seeing Muma hit a pile driver and wrecking ball onto a Farah, not sure how that worked out. It could have been the Ersta was grounder for whatever reason, but it worked, and the fight was quite clean after that.
Yes, they take map number 2 after map number 1 is all Atlanta Reign, so tied up going into halftime. And just to remind you, this match is important for the Outlaws in terms of trying to make a case to get into the top 12. And for the Atlanta Reign, if they win this, they get to 12-12. And their map differential is good, so they have the opportunity, you know, it's some of those teams kind of slipping in like the 5 through 8 range to potentially sneak up there.
Yeah, like we talked to, Atlanta's schedule going forward, Matt, looking at pretty comfortable for them.
But they got to win these games so that they should win
them.
That's
right. Hey, we see a lot of teams that just don't end up winning the games that they should win. Atlanta are great at playing up to tough opposition. It's the other end of the spectrum.
What was
they've
it?
struggled with.
They beat New York back-to-back, and then they lost to somebody who's like down near the bottom.
Yeah.
I think they lose to the Guangzhou Charge when the Guangzhou Charge are like struggling, but then they beat New York back-to-back.
Yeah. Not very consistent. Definitely shades of Philadelphia from Season 1. Philadelphia are consistent now, I guess. Maybe not in the best kind of way, but Blizzard World is going to be our third map, hybrid. So we have a control point that needs to be captured, then a payload that needs to be pushed, and the Outlaws. Okay, 0 and 3 so far on this map.
I do think the fortunate thing for the Atlanta Reign is that they don't have like a spot secure, like somebody like where you have the London Spitfire, for argument's sake, right? Like, and we see them lose to the Florida Mayhem. It's a whole hook combo that comes in from the Reign here to kick things off, and they're not able to pick up a kill on it. They get a biotic grenade on the Buma. He gets very low, then he gets taken out. But a lot like how the London Spitfire, right? They lose to the Florida Mayhem the other day. They're taking things a little bit light. Like, some of these matches for the Atlanta Reign, probably in the earlier part of the season, were like tough to really kind of get the adrenaline going and like take it that serious at times. But they're fighting for playoff spots, and they know there's an opportunity with their schedule to move up. And I think that really gets the players to focus on down. So I think that's a little bit of a positive here in Stage 4 for Atlanta.
Hey, Raucus aggressive with the Biotic Orb here. They're trying to find an early pick of just pressure in general, the Atlanta Reign.
Another Biotic Grenade. Dogman.
Mortality field from Master take it down. Yeah, I think that Biotic Grenade kind of stopped the Outlaws from following up. Puma's probably just waiting for a shield to pull down. The coalescence from Raucus now, so they'll follow this one in. The Dragon Strike could be quite nasty. Oh, immediately getting rid of Dante. Just Dante, though. That will be the pick. The rest of the Outlaws have some time here to set up on the point. Linksa went very deep, surrounded by Atlanta Reign players, and look at them now, just basking in that immortality field. Boink was walled off. Over the edge goes Spree, and the Outlaws, they're done for this fight. They're going to reset and go again.
And it's really Dogman who's able to connect with a few biotic grenades that just stalls out Houston's push long enough for them to be able to build up towards that Dragon Strike and the Amp Matrix. And you use those ultimates, the Dragon Strike picks up.
Get himself nano boost as well, Dogman, just hitting them nades.
So good start here for the Atlanta Reign on defense, although the Outlaws do sneakily get a pick on point percentage here. So we can take a look from the Orisa and the Roadhog point of view and how they land these hold hooks.
See how he aims straight at that whole wall coming up there by the Outlaws to defend.
That's the Mason play, right?
So that is just basically showing you exactly why those three heroes are used right now, or at least their biggest application. So FRD waits to see that ball go up. He just hooks into it, hopes he gets someone good. Here comes the Blizzard on the point. The FRD Frozen Soul, Immortality Field thrown down, and Endless Blizzard is eaten up. The Outlaws have an opportunity here now. They need to follow up a little bit more, though, on that Blizzard. Enlair, wall goes up. He's forced away by Dante. Coalescence here for Raucus. It's in play, but they've lost their main tank, and Spree gets demeched here. The Outlaws don't have any staying power remaining, and FRD springs forward. And the Reign put this one to bed. That was a fight, the Outlaws, you have to think, trying to get a win.
Yes, they get a eat on the Blizzard there. That's a huge play when Spree eats Enlayer's ultimate, and they still don't win the fight. It's a really poor turn of events there for Houston. And now Houston with only a minute to go, Mitch. It's going to be difficult. They're going to have to, we'll see how they use this sound barrier, right? Whether they have to use the sound barrier to close the gap, or whether they can use the sound barrier actually like a close quarter scenario. You lose Raucus. I mean, that is...
By the way, Atlanta have won every single fight that Erster gets the first pick on Hansa win. Before this game, it was 13 out of 13. I don't know if you count that as a fight, but the Outlaws are smart enough not to try and force the issue with a player down.
But, you know, the Outlaws have been using their sound barrier in a more offensive manner, like speed boosting and barriering, and then, like, kind of just trying to chase players down. They have an opportunity, I guess, to do that here, in that there's no speed boost for the Atlanta Reign for it to get out of trouble. But
25 seconds.
I'd like to see it used in a little bit better manner.
The Outlaws, no time for dawdling anymore. They have to come forward, but it's very clear that they haven't really come up with a solution. These ultimates need to be good. The Death Blossom needs to be good. The Outlaws at least can get to the point where they're using the May Wall early so they can sound barrier on the point. Linksa in, but he's interrupted. He only gets one kill off the Death Blossom because the hook comes in from FRD and finishes him off. Erster gets two. First the Dragon Strike, then the Sonic Arrow, and make it three. The Huns are running wild, and Erster is just dominating these falls in the neutral. Overtime ticking down, just more than one tick of permanent progress for the Outlaws, and it looks like they're going to have to be happy with that. The Atlanta Reign still at full strength, still looking good, and Erster just keeps racking them up. And there's no chance to get to the point here for the Outlaws. That was dominant.
They have to use the sound barrier to just go into the point and get a touch. We were watching a little bit where we saw Muma get low. They have to push onto the point. They do a nice job of pushing the Atlanta Reign back, but they use all these ultimates. They're not able to get anything with it. and it's really Ursa just dominating on the Hanzo. 9 final blows, 38% of the Atlanta Reign's damage there in the first half. Crazy first half from Ursa. We'll see if they get followed up on offense after this.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, now connecting 99% of Overwatch League fans. Catch your league on America's network, T-Mobile.
Cease your resistance.
Pressure is on the Houston Outlaws right now. They failed to capture point A, which means they failed to get the payload moving through the map. Which means we're not going to see much of this map in the end. Erster dominating here over the course of that round in general. 9 final blows, 38% of his team's damage.
Ilios gets 3 kills here in the final fight.
Getting an ult every minute and getting 4 kills with that ult out of 9. So that is scary. Coming up next, though, more Overwatch headed your way. The Philly Fusion, who some fans are in here and heard me talking before and weren't happy about it, going up against the Toronto Defiant. We'll see how they turn out here on Twitch, ESPN app, and Disney XD. Stick around. The games just keep getting better.
You know, we were talking a little bit during the commercial break about the use of the Immortality field from Masa.
It's just wild, isn't it?
It's really good use. I mean, it's something. Yeah, we've seen Batiste like come into play like a little bit more the last few days than we did like at the beginning of the stage, but I think you don't see him played a ton because the Ant Matrix, like, you're really just using it for fields, where before it was used to just, like, burst down damage. Like, in a lot of these comps where it's, like, May Reaper, you don't have a big opportunity. But with, like, a Widowmaker in play, and some other heroes, you have the option, Hanzo as well, to get good use of it. But Immortality field around the side of walls is so huge.
So that half the range final blows last round. That'll be big. Erster trying to pressure. I guess it's the Flutter deadlift, essentially, right? Getting more than the rest of the team.
So sleep on the screen. Maywall, though, prevents a ball or a hook coming through.
Rock is down. Not a great start. The Outlaws lose.
He fights really early.
That's so much of that biotic grenade, which is going to shut down FRD. Now he has less to worry about. Look, he's going to get hit here, so what? He just heals up. Immortality field thrown out. Now the freeze is a little bit more of an issue. Linksa! Oh, Linksa! It's a tight angle. He needs more of those, though. FRD and Edlair are making short work of the rest of his team, and even Erster is chiming in now. He gets Erster, that's one. He's got to go next level here, though, and no. Dragged in. Guess what? The Atlanta Reign have Raucus close by. There'll be a Wrecking Ball attempt here from Movement, but the wall! Big denial from the Atlanta Reign, and they go up 2-1 in this series. So much attention now focused on map 4, but the Reign have showed themselves to be very good. We talked about Erster before this, Matt. This guy is ferocious, he's dominant, and he's here to stay. Very, very scared to go up against his Hanzo especially. We'll be back with map number 4. Reign looking to close it out.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
Cease your resistance.
That 1, 2, check. Hey, your microphone, check. What?
Ah, stop it! I will fight you. If there's any problem with your sound, say it.
Yeah, I have a problem with my sound. I can hear AKM in my headphones.
Yeah, same.
Is it Rockets blowing through his mic again?
No, it wasn't
Oh, that was me, sorry.
Oh my god.
It's okay, Dante.
Yeah, you would say that, Rockets.
It's never me, I never hear it.
It's never me. I never hear it. Wait.
My
That means it's
guy.
literally only you.
Nah, I just want... My mic still out?
No, you're not bad. Just don't yell.
Okay. Your mic is so low.
We want to spread them thin. We don't want to. Sorry.
3, 2, 1, fighting!
Wow. Wow.
Visual and Fraggy. Late cheering for you guys.
Yeah, that was pretty insane. I was surprised.
Calm down, man.
You calm down right now. Little man, little guy, little dude, little boy.
Yes, sir. Yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Ora, ora!
Ora, ora! Yeah.
I'm giving you some ASMR.
How you like that one? That was good.
I feel like the open mic thing doesn't use much of me because I fare a lot.
You want to be on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, say, yo, can I please be on the open mic?
Yo, can I be please on the
Me
open
too.
mic?
I haven't been on the open mic yet.
open mic, please.
I've never been on it.
I got sunglasses on, bro.
Now that we did stupid stuff, we're gonna be an open mic. Yo,
Let's go.
shout out to open mic, man.
Ah, yes, do love a bit of comms check. You can also see that the London Spitfire are big JoJo's Bizarre Adventure fans. That's where a lot of that ridiculousness comes from. But Gesture is also just a ridiculous human being.
Ah, he's great.
Back to the match, though. The Atlanta Reign is set up now for a series victory. And we talked about this coming up into it. Their map differential is positive right now. They're on the cusp of, working their way in towards at least the play-ins. They should be there, essentially. We looked at their schedule. We know what their road ahead is. For Houston, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Houston has to win this. They have to win a lot of other their games remaining. Pretty much all of them. They have to get some help, right? But I think if you're the Atlanta Reign, like, you look at your schedule and you look at the way you're playing right now, and you're just kind of like, why not us, right? Like, why can't we make it all the way to the 7th or 8th spot? We got Route 66 coming up next, but the Atlanta Reign and Seoul Dynasty, the only two teams with a positive map differential from the 7th all the way down to 12th. That's crazy to think about, where they need to, if they're able to win some series, let's say they finish where they can get to, 14 wins, 15 wins. Like, they have a chance.
This is actually a byproduct of, our top 6 teams just getting a bunch of wins against the lower part of the table. So the field was wide open for even people down in like 12th to 14th to make the way up with some good performances in the latest
Think
stage.
about how crazy the 2 wins for Atlanta against New York are right now. Yep. I mean, they don't win those 2 games against New York. This is they're the same record as the Outlaws, and they're potentially looking at being out.
Well, the rest of that stage for them was awful.
Yeah.
They struggled, and they lost so many map 5s. Like, it was just rough for them. You could see how frustrated they were.
I mean, those 2 games against New York may have saved the Reign season.
Imagine that.
In a way.
Still a chance here for Houston, though, to take it to map 5. They're going to have to. Hanzo on the Widow. I mean, yeah, that's scary. Lynx's Widow, though, looked very clean in the last stages of Blizzard World. Dante should have... Oh, dear. Okay, he has to put his own wall up there just to make sure he stays safe.
Just look at that immortality field, though, around that corner. Kind of covers the people coming around the outside of the train car.
Bear in mind,
no opportunity, really.
Erster can line up just the same as a Roadhog can with Hulk, unless he gets halted himself.
Yeah. A lot of burst damage you can put down.
This is good for Houston. Play close, play pretty conservative. You have a lot of extra healing. I mean, the Batista-Ana combination is a ton of healing.
Links are right now not putting down final blows on the Widowmaker, but putting down a lot of damage. The 30% scope crit hits, and it's good for almost more than 50% of the team's damage right now. So getting a lot of these players setting up kills.
That is a great wall, but Dante still goes down. Remember, when Erster gets the first kill in fights for the Reign, I mean, they're undefeated. Let's see if that continues to be the case. That looks like it will be. That's the kind of bell tolling. Linkster knows he's done here. Ingress side popped. This is just for when they return to see if... Yeah, they're going to see also if Atlanta swap some of their heroes. So there's that time before Linkster actually switches hero for them to get information.
So he'll change over to Reapers. They want to play close quarters against this, and we'll see the angles that Ursa takes. This is going to be very brawly for the Atlanta Reign, and they're going to have to create space for Ursa to get some of these pickoffs, but he's been so good at doing it.
But once he gets that space, man, it's what May and Reaper he has to contend with, so he feels very good about that.
Yeah, he's got an Amp Matrix to shoot through right now.
The Outlaws can't even really show face, and there it is. Ursa finds Dante. And you see the assist there means it was through the Amp Matrix. He didn't even need a headshot to secure the kill. Ursta's like, look at why you guys on it. I mean, look, he's just dominating. How do you have to play against this player? When you see an individual, you know, in a game like this, 6v6 game, you have to take active measures to shut down that certain hero, that certain pick.
This is why I love Roll-Lock, and I love how like 2-2-2 is developed. Like it's given power back to the damage-dealing players, that they can have the ability to get an early pick-off and turn the tides in a game.
It changes the game, actually.
Or have, like, Linkster be able to pop off and get, like, it's going to be a Dragon Strike behind it, separates the tank, so Spree and Muma pushed up there. They're trying to make a play for the Spartan, and Dragon Strike ruins it all.
Such an elegant bisection there. You know, splitting off the really important heroes, the backlines from the Outlaws, and leaving the Hog and the Orisa up front. Ursa there just gets himself a cold shower, but he's still in it.
Like 2 or 3 fights for Linkster now on the Reaper, because they've gone so heavily favored for the Atlanta Reign and fast, hasn't built up anything.
No, none of these
Death Blossom.
None of these damage deals have gotten any kills so far. You know, Lynx is still at 37% of his team's damage.
You have the Amp Matrix up on the high ground here, allowing Ursa to shoot this through the choke. They use the May wall, try and block some players off. That'll force the Coalescence to have a look. The cart just making great progress here for the Reign.
And Dante is now down, so no Ice Wall available here at all. And the Blizzard would have been on the line. This is where they really need to use it. This is not close at all. This is an absolute stop! River's shield is down, he's fortified, but he's still eventually going to drop with all this damage being leveraged at him. And that is one of the quickest movements through this second phase of the map I think I've ever seen. 4 minutes and 15 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, the Amp Matrix used on the high ground, it allows the Atlanta Reign to gain some payload progress around the corner. It also forces the Houston Outlaws into like the back left corner, which is a really odd spot play, the defensive team to be played in at that moment in time. And then it's Ursa, you know, you get to pick off, you get some more damage down, you're able to keep him alive, and good things happen after that. He's racked up 8 final blows this far on the Hanzo.
The Reign are about 40 seconds ahead of the record time for finishing this map here, so a quick movement through this stage. We'll give it to him. Amplification Matrix thrown down. Here's that Blizzard we've been waiting to see. Dante finally gets to let it go. Oh, no! There it is. Master's caught up in that one. They did lose Linkster yet again, though, and that does give the Reign a little bit of time to shrug that Blizzard off. Now they're back on track. Ursa fighting movement here. Dante drops down and engages the 1v1. Inlayer is falling to the self-destruct Spree, should I say, and this won't be enough to slow Atlanta down. Spree being demeched here, and the Reign are still on course.
There's going to be a 20-player kill streak here for Ursa. Is
20 eliminations.
Now all you have left is this Death Blossom. Dogman hits a good sleep dart. A biotic grenade that's going to get nothing with it. Look how aggressive he is playing.
There it is, FRD. Linkster was caught out. He used Wraith Form and still couldn't really get away properly. Now the Outlaws have to retreat. They got one fight. This is the position that they've been put in now. Dragon Strike, there's not really too far to run. Raucus takes a face full of arrow from Ursa as he meets him around the corner. Immortality Field thrown down for the Atlanta Reign here, so they have nothing to worry about. They'll keep on marching forward. Everything over in Atlanta's looking great. In fact, it's looking just peachy.
Whoa, that is fast. As the Outlaws put together 5 final blows through that map. Ursa with 11 alone. It is all Atlanta Reign. The damage output, it's a huge difference. You have 19K for the Atlanta Reign, 10K for the Outlaws. You really only saw the Outlaws get those holds when you had the Linkster on the Widow at the start, where he was able to pick up some kills and talking to the camera there.
Oh, was he talking to the camera? Because
okay, so somebody taking pictures up there. And
it's not quite easy to tell. Yeah, he's talking to the crowd now.
Talking to the crowd, talking to everybody.
This guy,
I love it.
Well, he's quite the mime. He's actually, this might be purposely from the rain. He's sat on the far right, so the closest to the Outlaws. I guess so we can talk to him while he's beating them is the idea.
You know, he's out there having fun though.
Right. Dogman has spent so much time sort of working through our tier 3, tier 2 scene.
He's going to be a caster at one point.
I know, he's hit me up like, yeah, I think I'm going to be a caster. I don't think I'm going to make it as a player. And I'm like, don't do that. You're going to make a lot more than me if you just stick to it. You're going to live in a mansion, bro, you know? And he does.
He lives in a mansion with like 12 other people.
Yes, I mean, yes, but he lives in a mansion.
Still pretty dope, though.
They have a table at the table. They have their own chef, bro, come on.
I'll take it. Now the Outlaws, they have a huge mountain to climb here on offense. There'll be double sniper for the Atlanta Reign on D. They'll play, when you have both snipers in play, you kind of like having the Mercy here is to be able to pocket both of those. And that's a third fastest attack time.
And that's actually crazy, Matt, considering it was much easier to get those fast pushes when we were playing 3-3 because Snowball was much more of an issue. Now those individual picks make more of a difference in terms of gaining or stopping momentum. Atlanta, with the double sniper composition, have a 67% team fight win ratio. 2/3 of the time. With this composition, they're winning, and that is a good sign for them here.
And the fastest time is Philly versus the Shanghai Dragons last year. I think a lot of these fastest times are the Shanghai Dragons.
Maybe an outlier, you know? Not good. Houston are trying to advance here, but they're still losing players. Eventually, they're going to have to back away, or they're all going to get staggered and just feed this ult percentage. Look at this. Ursa has a Dragon Strike already. That is a Dragon Strike in less than 50 seconds.
I mean, you're not going to live playing that aggressive.
How much do you care, though?
The Halt brings it back. You do have changes that had to come through for the Houston Outlaws, so Dante will end up playing.
This is from Spawn.
Yeah, that'll be from Spawn, that Dragon Strike coming.
What are you doing?
If this hits anybody.
He's having a laugh, mate.
They
really.
halt one person in it doesn't do anything.
Okay. Well, the Dragon Strike does diverge a little bit. It gets a little bit wider as it goes after the first couple.
You trying to defend that use of the Dragon Strike?
Listen, I had him up. I wrote him up as my rookie of the year at the start of the season, and I had to keep myself looking good. Link's oh, that's not a good hold. Yep, Reaper's down. First is back. He's still out here doing damage apparently. Still has that killer instinct. Popo's close to a supercharger. Holt throwing out, recording that one, going for the self-destruct. Popo walking forward. Oh, clever. He does try and catch Dante with his own pulse bomb, but Dante had already blinked out of there. And now it's Boink getting rid of end layer. This gets a little bit harder for Atlanta.
They get the res on the Popo though, so you will have the supercharger that comes in play. You're also going to have the self-destruct if it need be.
He had to stay alive, but Raucus caught him as he came through with the Bionic Grasp. It's pretty easy to connect with the right click on Moira, so that kill was essentially assured. Not a lot of aim really required. FRD will stall out for a little while, but again, Matt, it's just about bleeding the clock here. The Atlanta Reign have the third fastest attacking time on this map. They know they can put the Outlaws in a disadvantageous position.
And I think you just bleed clock until, let's say the Outlaws are able to take point B. B to C is usually a very difficult point to take because as you get closer to the end of C, like the spawn is very, very close here on Route 66. So see how the Atlanta Reign decide to keep playing this end layer. Will switch and play May now as you still have Ursa on Hanzo. And I think you bring in Massivac on the Batiste. I think this is huge. It's been very good on the hero so far.
The Immortality Field, even just buying a couple seconds to get behind a May wall has been really important for a lot of teams. So Ursa's trying to find an angle where the Outlaws will have the least possible time to escape from a Dragon Strike. Here it comes now. Will there be a halt to follow this up to pull people in? Well, he got Dante. He couldn't avoid it, and that's it. Get it, fire it through a wall that's really close to the enemy so they can't dodge it.
No halt needed either. They're going to use the nano boost here on an end layer, just trying to get him up onto the payload. And that's going to be a sound barrier here that comes in for the Outlaws. They know they need to set a really good time.
But I don't have any DPS players with them right now. Lynx is dead, and Dante's on the way through. So what are they actually achieving with that sound barrier is the big question. Not a lot.
Are you just extending a losing fight at that point?
Yeah, you don't want to do that. You're giving the Reign their ultimates back. With Ursa switching over to McCree, there might have been like a time to exploit that. McCree dominating, I guess, the Reaper and the May here. Enlair, though, he gets his Blizzard eaten up. Well, that's not ideal. Spree's able to shut that one down, and now they're starting to get those kills.
Yes, you're going to have an Ant Matrix here used by Masa up on the high ground as he's able to take out Muma. This has been really sloppy this whole part, and that's going to be a Blizzard eat there from FRD. You can't have that. Both Blizzards go for nothing. Dogman backs up here with Urser, so they do have a nano boost in play. The Outlaws have to use all of their ultimates to even just get the payload progress to where they are now. So you think nano boost, maybe a Deadeye coming up here for Urser. They're going to be able to go out. They're going to have to come out from both sides of the door to get a touch.
So easy to shut down the Deadeye here, though. The May wall is often going to get the job done. All right, Linkser.
Boing tries to
no. Just picks him up, yeah. Electric Cowboy now. He's on the scene. Flashbang's still on cooldown, but he can get it done with just the old-fashioned ring-a-ding-ding off the top. Uma, where are you going?
McCree's rate of fire has been increased recently. Spree, as Urser is just claiming all of the final blows. They're going to let Spree jump off the side.
So McCree obviously gives you a little bit of longer range, like mid to long range potential, but he also is good at getting rid of shields because his rate of fire is so high. Linkser switches to Hanzo here, so you have to think this is directly to try and deal with the McCree. A sniper against McCree who's not considered one of those, not since the closed beta anyway.
And you don't really bring in the Widow here because of the shield uptime of the Orisa, so you go with Hanzo.
Who just more spews arrows out, right? Yeah. Storm arrow is really good at just getting rid of shields. It's not really the way you want to use it, it's not satisfying. But plenty of front-loaded damage, really important for making it hard for Orisa to play out in the open. Deadeye here, Erster, surely not the hole in Deadeye, that would be just filth. There's the May wall that I mentioned earlier on, and yeah, Erster's gonna have to settle for very little there. Master's Immortality field is down. The Rain can see the high ground for a moment.
It buys them maybe, what, 15 seconds here though, as Atlanta just backs on up. They use Supercharger in Deadeye.
Big down on Linkser. Hanzo down.
A lot of damage. Wait, that'll be FRD using his self-destruct over the top, trying to launch it in.
Oh, the hit was big! The Immortality field for Boyd kept the Outlaws alive, but they all took about 80% of their health in damage. And Dante was an easy pickup for Ursa there. McCree loves going for low health targets. Doesn't even have to connect headshots. Dragon Strike here from Linkser. He charged it up quite quickly, trying to shut off that left-hand side approach.
So low.
Ursa gets nanoed once more. He's standing inside the Immortality field here in great position to do damage. Rumor has Fortify. Damage resistance for him. Ursa now just cleaning up a couple of the little bits on the periphery. Gets rid of that Immortality field. Rorka saw him coming in the backline though. Ursa had to connect these shots. That's some sweaty McCree play, but he couldn't find the headshots. FRD a little bit low. He's trying to get back into his mech and bleed more time, but Massa is caught there. Frozen Soul, and Linkser follows up with the headshot. Enlair now going face to face with the Hanzo. Throws up the wall to try and mess Linkser up, but it doesn't work. The Outlaws, the head remains above water.
Barely.
20.
Barely, though. They were able to get across the line as Popo was so low. He was at like, it looked like 4 HP almost. And they have to heal him up, and they have to use both the healing resources of Massa and Dogman to do that. And then, you know, just that moment in time where they have to spend maybe, you know, 5 seconds healing up Popo. They're not able to get any healing on FRD or Urster. Those two players are weak, and then it all falls apart.
Back to the Hanzo here for Urster. He definitely feels he was bested when the Linkser was troubling him from long range. Linkser almost has another Dragon Strike here. Complication Matrix thrown out, but Ursa's in no position to fire through it. The Dragon Strike forces him away, and Dogman goes down. Still the Batista around for healing, and yeah, the card is still rounding that first corner. You see, it's making progress here. 34 seconds remain. The Rain probably played it safe here. They went for the Supercharger. This Blizzard could be nasty. Dante throws that one down, but Ursa gets rid of the Immortality field straight away. Yeah, getting rid of Enlair is big. You couldn't escape. FRD was also a sitting duck. Hog, whatever.
They only have 20 seconds, though, to get over the line. Who is going to get a touch here for the Atlanta Rain? It'll be Popo steps onto the point, has the Fortify here to use.
Mortality field there. Dante also, he would have bited grenade, but he wasn't focused down at all, so it's Ursa to fall first. Linkser gets a nano boost here. He has to connect arrows though. That's where he can really find some value. It's Dogman with one, but he's able to skip away. The Hanzo not really coming alive quite yet, but he's been good so far. FRD frozen, that's an easy shot. One Linkser can't miss. Boyd takes the kill though. Blizzard here, coming up from Enlair. Look at the wall. Everybody's caught in the Blizzard. Break out the earmuffs. It's a long winter for the Houston Outlaws, and they'll be thinking about that Blizzard for the next week, because that'll be it. Atlanta Rain shut it down. The May will end the game.
It's a nice Blizzard, but that halt from Popo on the map, you can see there was like 3 or 4 players all trying to run away from it, and the halt is perfect over the wall. Keeps everybody trapped in the Blizzard. They follow it up with the kills. big play from Enlayer and Pokepo at the end to put it away for Lana.
You saw that Dante opened with a blizzard of his own. It was looking like the Outlaws would be able to finish the match based off of it. But there's so many ways that Hulk's being used right now. Securing hooks from Roadhogs, securing easy headshots from snipers, and of course, making sure people can't escape from Dragon Strikes and Blizzards. What a devastating ultimate it is now. The only weakness it has is that it's kind of easy to walk out of if you have some time. The Hulk takes that away from you. You don't have a choice but to stand in there and get frozen up. And then it's possibly the worst thing that could happen to you there. Oh, Dogman and co looking very happy. We're going to head down to the stage with perhaps a more softer spoken individual with Mika. It is Enlayer.
Thanks, guys. We got Enlayer down here. Make some noise for him, you guys. That's what I like to hear. And with this win today, Atlanta Reign is still solidly in the running for the playoffs play-ins. And this is the first time Atlanta is a team, so the first time you guys will be playing in a tournament of this caliber. Does that kind of rattle your nerves a little bit?
Not really, but it's like right now we are going to playoffs, right? Because we can do it. And I think this matter really good for us, so yeah.
All right, well then we're going to be expecting to see a lot with that confidence there. And a little birdie called Twitter told me that it is your birthday today. So first of all, let's get a happy birthday, you guys out there. Nice. Will you be doing anything fun to celebrate your win and your birthday today? Will you be doing anything fun to celebrate your win and your birthday today?
I don't know. I think I'll go play some ring. I don't know.
That's exactly the answer I expected out of a pro player. Well, thank you, Enlayer. Congrats on your win. Mitch and Matt, back to you. Thank you.
Playing some ranked on your birthday. Some extra damage.
Go do something fun, Ilya. Put me on a wet blanket, bro. Enjoy yourself. It's sunny outside, and times are good here in LA. Yeah. I mean, great stuff for Atlanta. Now one step closer to getting to those playoffs, and the time is right for them. You know, I mean, they have dominant DPS players that they can rotate in and out. They got 3 that they're getting use out of here. It's looking very, very good for them.
Yeah, now, you know, they get to 12-12 here. Now, we do have our player of the match presented by Omen by HP, and I think this one was fairly easy for his performances towards the end of the game. It's Erster from the Atlanta Reign. He was unreal today on a lot of different heroes.
Listen, if he keeps coming out and giving performances like this, I'm going to give it to him every game. He's setting up in some huge plays, and it's the consistency. I think that's more important. You know, like a 5K is just not something we get excited about anymore with Erster because it's something he produces with such frequency that it just seems like the norm.
Even when he's not like just racking up tons of final blows in the feed, it's like he kicks off a lot of fights with final blows, just in general, being able to pick them up. 24 final blows to Hanzo this match, 17k damage, and he had 19 final blows here on Route 66 to close things out. I mean, that is just so much stuff, just a lot of just game-changing plays from this player.
So speaking about game-changing, let's see the state of our standings, Matt. I'm very curious as to how the Atlanta Reign are looking. And look, they're at 10th now, so they're in the play-in matches. I mean, we talked about their road going forward now for the next 4 games. It's actually looking good. You can get to 16 and 12 with a big differential.
With their schedule, in the way things are going, they could get up to 7. Like, it is not out of the world in which, like, they even make a crazy outlandish run for, like, even 6.
It'll be tough to do.
It'd be very tough to do, but look at their map differential. I mean, they have +8. Even the Dragons, they have a better map differential than the Shanghai Dragons. We talked so much positive about the Dragons. It's like Seoul Dynasty loses a game or 2, right? That map differential comes down. I mean, they're right back.
You know why that is as well? Because the Reign had some really heartbreaking losses in map 5.
Yes.
So while they had a loss, their map differential wasn't affected too adversely as a resalt of it here. So while that would have been tough for them now, it's going to pay them back in the long run now as they make their run to try and get into that top 6. Coming up next, though, Philadelphia Fusion take on the Toronto Defiant. Both teams in a new landscape. Both teams looking to make their mark. We're back with that one right after these messages.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, now connecting 99% of Overwatch League fans. Catch your league on America's network, T-Mobile.